Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of our solo leveling read-through review series. On the last episode, Jinwoo took out the last remaining giant that was in Japan. So we pick up right after that, and Jinwoo, he isn't celebrating his defeat of the giant just yet, because there was no message from the system that told him that he had beat the dungeon boss. So that means to him, this raid isn't over. There's still more to come. He tries to do a shadow extraction on the giant, and it tells him that it's not possible. So there's that. And then a large amount of energy comes out of a gate. And it's referred to as like I believe it is referred to as a magic power storm. And from the whole energy of the storm, the gate absorbs the giant's power, and it's such a big freaking storm. The storm is so powerful that it actually cuts Jinwoo's cheek. And he's like, "Well, that's new." So Jinwoo decides he's going to go inside the gate and figure out what's going on, which he does. And when he exits from the other side of the gate, he finds himself in like a large kind of like manor type thing. And he hears a distant laugh. So Jinwoo decides that, okay, well, I'm just going to go and figure out what it is. And he eventually finds that it is a giant that is wrapped in magical chains. So when he, enters the room and he sees the giant tells him, "Release me from these chains. I know the plan of the rulers, and I must inform the other sovereigns." And he sees Jinwoo, and he's like, "Oh, you're not one I know." And the giant informs Jinwoo that whoever the rulers are made him like this. And when Jinwoo says, "What are rulers?" the guy just answers, "The ancient enemy of the sovereigns." Thanks, buddy. That clears a lot up, huh? And the guy reveals that, he too is a sovereign. That's why the rulers set him up like this. He then continues to speak to Jinwoo and tells him that he's certain that the sovereigns and rulers are after him. He says, "You lack the strength to face them now, but to face them, you need influence. If you release me, I shall help you." And Jinwoo was like, "Really? You expect me to believe a monster will help a human?" So the guy's like, "Okay, I will make you believe." And he releases like some blue smoke from his mouth, and a notification pops up for Jinwoo. And it says that King of Giants, a monarch of the beginning, Legia, used skill Oath of Faith. If you accept the Oath of Faith, the caster and acceptant cannot lie to each other. So now we know the guy's name. He's Legia, and he is King of the Giants, and he's also a monarch, much like Jinwoo. So Jinwoo accepts the deal, so now he and Legia cannot lie to each other. So Jinwoo asks first, why can Legia commute freely, unlike the other monsters? Right? So Legia calls the other monsters residents of chaos, and he says, he says, "Can you really consider the residents of chaos as the same level as the sovereigns that rule them?" He says, "Those who are coming out of the gates are all stragglers. It has been an eternity for them, so it's only natural that their consciousness has been eroded. But I am a king, so I have maintained rationality. I have endured all those years waiting for the day I am free." Jinwoo then asks, "Is the ruler's army the ones with silver armor and wings?" Which is, confirmed, that is true. So then he asks, "Why are the rulers sending the monsters to them?" Legia says that they are preparing for war. They want to turn Earth into a battlefield for a fight against the monarchs. And Jinwoo was like, well, how do they plan on doing that? And Legia says that they plan on inserting magical energy into Earth. He said it is the plan to insert enough magical energy into Earth so they can create a world which will not disintegrate from the shock of their war. He then tells Jinwoo that the world in which you live will turn to hell, and it will happen sooner than you think. There is not much time. Neither the rulers nor the sovereigns will stand by when they realize that we have made contact. In fact, they're probably already on the move. So Jinwoo says, you make it sound like they're coming after me. Why? And Legia says, oh, you don't know. He says, the power which you possess is not truly your own. The fact that the power has become yours means that its original ruler has betrayed the rulers. You have become an enemy of both rulers and monarchs. But I alone swear to fight by your side and fight alongside you. So Jinwoo then says, well, if you really want to help me, you could just be a shadow, couldn't you? And we got a really nice shot of Jinwoo standing there when he's kind of overlapped by the Shadow Monarch, which is a really nice shot. Legia then tells him that, rulers and monarchs can't become shadows because they are bound to their forms. Jinwoo then starts releasing him from the chains. Doesn't cut all his chains, just starts cutting a bit of them. So then Jinwoo asks him again. He's like, if I do this, he'll be on my side, right? And he goes, yes, of course. And Jinwoo's like, so you'll be on the side of the humans. And then Legia doesn't answer. And Jinwoo's like, why'd you stop speaking, huh? And then Legia makes his move, and even though, he has the chains on him, he tries to attack Jinwoo. Jinwoo realizes that, he's got a magic stone on his neck. And he says, you must be healing the word of the rulers too with the stone that tells you to kill all the humans. And that's proven to be true, because Legia goes after him. Jinwoo tells him the deal's off, and kills Legia, saying that, it's too much of a risk to keep you alive. And finally, because he kills Legia, the dungeon boss is beaten, and it actually takes the system a while to calculate all his experience points. Jinwoo eventually levels up 8 times, which is very, very nice, and he goes to level 122. So we move from that to America, where we meet Christopher Reed, who is a national level hunter, and he is joined by Norma Selner and the vice director from that American guild. And so Chris asks them, what brings you all the way out here? If you're here to talk to me about the S-Rank gate in Japan, I ain't going. And Norma's like, no, we're not here to talk to you about that, Chris. We're here to talk to you about a more serious problem, which is that, Chris, you might be murdered in the future. And Chris is like, you want to repeat that? You want to come again, buddy? So Norma Selner tells him that, she recently had a dream. And in that dream, you were surrounded by a bunch of powerful men. But Chris cuts her off, and he's like, that is a bunch of BS. And he tells Norma, he's like, I know that there are rumors about your power that is rooted in the fact that you used to be a psychic. And he says, but I am a national level hunter. Nobody can kill me. And then, as Norma tries to say, like, oh, but in my dream. And he goes, I don't care. He goes, even if your dream is real, who the hell am I going to go for help? And Norma suggests, why don't you go to Sun Jinwoo? And because we've said Jinwoo's name, we go back to Jinwoo right now. He has exited the S-Rank gate. And he's kind of, telling himself that he made the right choice in killing Legia. We then get a bit of narration of what's happened after, which is news spread around the world that all the giants have been killed. The giant who managed to make it across the ocean was killed by the Chinese hunter, Kang Ryuz, who's the guy we saw at the end of Season 2 with the 2 swords. The head of the Hunters Association, Shiego Matsumoto, turned himself in and confessed for what he had planned in Jeju Island. in the U.S., American hunters are holding a government-hosted celebration party because they had just cleared an S-rank gate. And in that party, Thomas Andre goes to his guildmates and he goes, "Are you all forgetting about our bet?" Because, Jinwoo won. So Thomas wins the bet. He's like, "You bet your mansion, you bet your yacht." And he goes to his other friend, he's like, "What'd you bet?" And he goes, "I didn't bet anything." And he goes, "I like your tie." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "I like your tie." And then we cut to Thomas Andre and he asks his assistant, "How do you like my tie?" It's great. So then she tells him that the participating guilds in the upcoming International Guild Conference have been released, and one of them is the Ajin Guild, which is, of course, Jinwoo's guild, and Thomas is very pleased to hear that. Back in Japan, Jinwoo is using his shadows to help with the rebuilding process of Japan. During all this, Jinho gets a phone call, and he's like, "I gotta go back to Korea right now," and Jinwoo's like, "Oh, okay." Jinho said that he heard his mother's voice on the phone, and she's like, very shaky. He arrives back in Korea, and his family assistants there, and he's like, "Please brace yourself, young sir, for what you're about to see." They arrive at the hospital, and his father has succumbed to the eternal sleep, as was expected. The assistant then gives him a book, which was apparently the last thing his father was working on before he fell, and it's a scrapbook of all of what Jinho has been doing the past couple of months. So the father was still keeping tabs on him throughout this whole time. So when Jinho he leaves with the assistant to go to the family house, Jinwoo is there. He was invisible, and he was watching the whole thing, and obviously, of course, Jinwoo then decides to use the elixir of life to revive Jinho's father. At that time, Jinwoo was leaving. Jinho's sister was actually coming to visit, and she's the first one to see the dad, see he's awake, and she alerts everyone. And it ends off this chapter with Jinwoo leaving the hospital, and he says it's a bit early, but happy birthday, Jinho. And that's where we end off this episode of Solo Leveling review watching chapters 137 through 139. We got quite a lot of info throughout this. We found out about Legia, who is a monarch. We found out about the rulers and the sovereigns, and why they want and why they even send monsters out through gates, because they're trying to have enough magical energy go out onto Earth to strengthen it so it can serve as the perfect battlefield for their rematch. They want Jinwoo dead because of his power. And we got to find out that an upcoming thing to happen is the International Hunter Guild Conference. So quite a lot to happen, and of course we got the resolution of Jinwoo finally saving Jinho's dad. So we got all that in this. It was real fun. I think that is a nice bit of info for these 3 chapters. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and I will see you all next time.